Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. Welcome to our second session on mental health, presented by Chetnaben. As Vipul Bhai has just put down, we are recording this session, so please just be aware of that. So the recording will be available on our Prajapati website. Before I hand over to Chetnaben, let me just do the Gayatri mantra before we start. Om Bhurvasvaha Swaha Dasavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayam. Om Bhurvasvaha Swaha Dasavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayam. Om Bhurvasvaha Swaha Tasavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayam. Chetnaben, over to you. I'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, not great with technology. Happy Shivratri as well. Today I'm going to be talking about stress. Tanav I think is how it's pronounced in Gujarati. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what stress is. So, and thank you all for coming today. So housekeeping for those who were not here last week, and just to go over it, is, in these sessions, we want you all to respect each other, which means, people will talk about sensitive things, so we don't talk about them, we don't, disrespect. Let's be non-judgmental in our approach and support each other. Let's be mindful of confidentiality. Our session, so don't talk about it outside of these sessions or gossip, please. So it's just, I think it's just something we all need to be aware of. Everyone's responsible for their own behaviour and their safety. So if you're not feeling very well and you're not feeling very safe, please seek help for yourself, either by going to the GP or A&E or whatever is required. Thank you. So, who am I? My name is Chetnaben Mistry. I am a qualified mental health nurse with over 20 years experience. I've got a bachelor in nursing and a MSc in nursing. I've also got a qualification in something called systemic family practice. So that's working with families and doing family therapy. In my current role, I work in child and adolescent mental health services. I've been a nurse for over 20 years and worked in different settings. So I've got a lot of what I do and how I practice is informed by, you might have heard of these therapies, skills based on something called cognitive behavior therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, problem solving. So lots of different approaches, some coaching approach, some compassionate focused skills that I use. So I've got a variety of skills in a variety of areas, and I try and bring a lot of that in to my work. So the company Diamond Mindset, which is me, that I've set up here, what I aim to do is help you achieve clarity and strength of mind. So helping you to build your resilience to make you feel like you can challenge things and you can do things. We want, I'm really passionate about stigma around mental health. We covered a little bit of that last week. And educating people about mental health, which is why I'm here today, and trying to deliver these sessions with some Gujarati as well. and I am doing, so some things have been translated, and just to let you know that that translation is done by Google Translate and some family members that are quite good at Gujarati. So it's not with any sort of board or any sort of standards, it's what I know. So we offer coaching support to help you improve your mental health, and tips and suggestions on what to do to look after yourself. So stress, we've all heard the word stress or tanav. You know, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. So stress, what do we mean by stress? So we're going to be looking at, you know, what the definition is, what is stress? Because we've all heard about it, but then it comes, you know, what tension take you, or, you know, things are getting too much. And also looking at what is the purpose of stress. So again, stress take, you know, and you know, why do we feel how we feel, and when does that stress become a problem for us? So if we look at the Oxford Dictionary of stress, it's a state, they define it as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. So, you know, lots of things are happening at the same time. With the Santo Avijay, and sometimes happen, I think one of the words, Hujni pare kevi, you know, sukaranu na kevi ritna karwanu. So that's what we mean by stress, in terms of feeling overloaded, and it's often abnormal amounts of pressure, so more than what we can take, so more than stress, and it could be because of, you know, work pressure. So pressure going argument, you know, with families, worries, financial worries, financial based worries, especially nowadays, if you think about all these increase in energy prices and stuff, you know, and some people are going to be really worried about how they're going to, you know, pay for their bills and things. So that's what we mean by stress. It's more than what you're used to. So what is stress? Stress is actually your body's warning system, that, you know, it's telling you and your body that actually you're under pressure and you're threat, and you need to do something about it. So because of that, threat can be either positive or negative. Threat can actually drive us and motivate us to do things, and help focus us to perform well. So you might have an exam coming up, so you think, right, I need to revise, and it will get you to revise what you need to do. You might have a family function, so you'll be like thinking, okay, out there was a logan chair, or whatever, you know, you need to organize the DJ, you need to organize, you know, Manda Maraj, and it gets you to, you know, focus on what you need to do so you can do things well. And it allows you to challenge yourself to be able to do things out of your comfort zone. So you might want to, you know, somebody might want to go rock climbing or something and have never done it. So that stress, that positive stress, will allow you to do that. It allows you to meet new people, prepare for interviews, try new things, like I've said, so anything. So it can be really positive things to make you do things. And stress becomes a negative and problematic when it starts affecting your day-to-day functioning. So when you start having relationship difficulties, you start arguing with people, falling out with people, you stop doing the things you used to do, you know, you stop going to work or you stop going to school. That's when stress becomes a problem. So some of the contributing factors to stress are, sometimes it can be your personality. We might all normally be very anxious, people that get stressed very easily, and we find it hard to relax. So it doesn't take much for us to become overwhelmed and stressed. It's learned behavior. So as you're growing up, susi kache, gurwara, friends, people around you, behave correctly. We often pick that up, that actually to get things done, we need to be stressed. So that sort of stressful life events, that now now. So really stressful like thing, really, it could be a death, it could be moving to a different country. So we have lots of different life events that happen, breakdown in relationships that can contribute towards stress. Health and learning difficulties, if somebody has long-term health conditions, or we all know when we're not feeling brilliant. Let's look at COVID. We've experienced COVID and going in and it's had an effect on our mental health, and especially when you get COVID, you feel sad and you feel quite stressed about it. So it can contribute towards how you're feeling. Pressures at home and work. So have you got lots going on? Sometimes we all know that when you have a little baby and little kids, it's very stressful. And when you're trying to juggle that with home, work, family commitments, looking after loved ones, that's can be difficult when you're trying to balance that. So all these sorts of things do affect how we feel and our stress levels. So like I said, stress is your stress is your body's way of telling you that you are in danger. So we talk about fight, flight and freeze, and what that is your body, when it's your body's survival system. So when we are under attack, if we go back to the olden ages of when we did not have any early warning signs and you had to go hunt and gather in the dark ages. It's making me, as I'm talking about this, making me think about Ramayana and Ram going out seeking for, going into the forest and everything, and they didn't have anything to warn them of danger. So what you need to do is you need to increase your stress levels and you need to be a bit more alert. So what happens is the blood rushes to your muscles to get you tense, ready to fight. Your heart starts beating faster, you breathe faster, you start having tunnel vision to look out for all the dangers, so that you can sort of avoid them or do something about them. So that is why we get the physical sensations, because our body is actually getting ready to fight something because it thinks that you're in life-threatening danger. So that's what stress is about. It's about protecting you and surviving. It's about survival. So like I said, you get the heart rate, tight-chested as well. Sometimes you might get the tingling in your toes and your fingers. You can get butterflies in your stomach because your body isn't wanting to digest food at that point, because it's thinking about survival. So all the blood goes away from the organs of the body that doesn't need it and focuses it on the heart, so you can run and do what you need to do. You might start sweating, you might have a dry mouth and start feeling a bit dizzy. So over time, these dangers have evolved into things that we think things that we struggle to do and challenge ourselves to do, and your body thinks that actually we are in life-threatening danger when we're not. So things like, well, for me, doing this presentation, that's scary. I've got some of these symptoms going on now because it is anxiety provoking, but that's my body telling me, oh, don't do that because it might not go very well, or and it's my body saying that, try and be safe than sorry. And so So public speaking is one of them. Some people might be, some children, if they're struggling, they might be struggling to go to school. You might not want to go and speak to somebody new. You might not want to go to a new place. So these are all the things where you think, people think they're in danger when they're not. So if we look at the cycle of threat, this is what happens. Something happens. We think, and then we will then start, heart will start racing. You feel, you're feeling very unsettled. You've got the dry mouth, you've got this, your stomach's churning, your thoughts are going all over the place. Heavy breathing, and all you can see is everything that could go wrong because you're scanning for the danger. Then you end up feeling very stressed and struggle to see a way out of your difficulties at that time. So what can trigger stress? When we experience, like I said, a lot of pressure, everything at the same time. So it could be that your child's left home to go to university. You have you've had a death in the family. You've had a job change, and you've got some money worries. So things that happen all together can induce stress. Big changes, moving to a different town, city, different country even. Changes to your employment status, moving house. So they can all trigger stress. Even having children, because that is, it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, there's a lot of adaptations. And if you don't feel able to do that, that can be quite stressful. When you're worrying about something, not being in control of what happens. So you worry about things, and you worry about something you can do nothing about, and feeling out of control. Overwhelming responsibilities, having to do too much for others, and not having much time for yourself, and not being able to think straight because you're going from one thing to the next. Lack of work activities or change in your life. If you don't have you don't have any hobbies or interests, that can trigger stress. And any change in your life, like can you marry or you've got to move somewhere, you've got to move job, and uncertain times. And we experienced that last few years, and we're still experiencing it with COVID, when we don't know what's going on. So like I said, with the physical sensations, how we experience those physically, we can get the increased heart rate, butterflies, shaking, headaches, breathing faster, you get sexual difficulties, and we might feel nervous, and we always think something bad's going to happen. And you'll be really irritable and hyper alert, and if somebody says something, you might snap at them. And you have difficulty concentrating as well, and think something that you can't cope, so you might avoid doing things. So you might say, okay, I'm not going to go to that party, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go to that wedding. So you'll stop doing it. You won't you'll stop going visiting friends and family. You'll talk faster than normal, and you might use illicit drugs. We might start, maybe drinking more alcohol, start smoking, use illegal drugs, to help cope with how you're feeling. And we might, eat or drink less, and we might not be sleeping as much. So what can you do to recognize that you're, that you might be getting stressed? So think about, you could use this as like a checklist. Are you worrying and anxious all the time? You're really struggling to concentrate. You're having mood changes. You're depressed, and you're really happy. So what's going on there? Are you irritable? Are you getting into lots of arguments with family and friends? Are you not able to tolerate things like you would be able to, not be able to do the things you normally can? Are you finding it hard to relax? You want to watch a program and you can't watch it. This weekend there was that lovely Lata Mangeshkar concert on, which I really enjoyed. I was watching it back. But, are you struggling to sit there and actually enjoy that, something like that, or a movie or whatever you enjoy doing? Are you feeling a bit low and a bit depressed? That this is no good. That sort of thing. You're feeling that you're no good. I'm worthless. I'm not good for anybody anymore. Have you changed how you eat? Are you eating less, or you don't feel like eating, or you're eating too much? Correct, because correct affect. Are you using alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs to try and cope with how you're feeling? We all know, I'm just gonna have a pint of beer just to calm down. Or a glass of wine. We've all been there. I've had a really bad day at work, I'm just gonna have a glass of wine and chill out. So is that the best way of coping with things? You think about, is that glass of wine getting an extra, bit too much, or are we going through a bit too much alcohol? Are you having sleep difficulties? Are you, or are you sleeping too much? Are we having trouble getting off to sleep, and then we keep getting up throughout the night? Muscle aches and pains, especially like in your head, in your shoulders, and down the back of your neck. Are you feeling any of that? Do you feel sick, like you want to vomit all the time? Vomit and have you got reduced sex drive? So have there been changes in the intimate area? These are all signs that you could be stressed. So what can you do if you are, if you say, oh yeah, I can identify with some of these? What can you do? It's helpful to find out what is making you stressed. So you need to really recognize that. And is it money worries? Is it financial difficulties? Have you got exams? Have you got relationship difficulties? Family difficulty? Are you trying too hard to please others? I think that's what I'm trying to say. So we want to try and keep other people happy. So is that what's causing you to get really stressed? Because that's really hard work. So identify, is it that you've in a lot of pain, or you've got some physical health difficulties and you're in a lot of pain? So do you need to go and get that sorted? Problem solve. So so you need to look for so think, what is it that's causing the problem? You've got financial worries. Okay, sit down. What is your financial worries? Because what we want to do is, when things get difficult, is run away from it and not deal with it. So let's face it head on. What is it? Is it that I've got too much coming on, too much going out? Do I need to think about where I'm spending? Could I change, for example? Have I got exams? Let's plan to make sure I revise for that exam. Consider what you can do to change. So differently. What can we do differently in our lives to bring about positive change? Or review You know, how stressed are you? Are you getting very stressed, and what can you do differently? So, you know, we've mentioned this before. What you can do to cut down on it is avoid drugs and alcohol. You can even avoid or reduce the amount of caffeine that you intake as well, because caffeine sort of can make you a bit more nervous and a bit more anxious. So sometimes to manage stress, because we've got lots to do, so, oh yeah, let's just have a cup of coffee, and that coffee becomes 3 or 4 or 5 in the daytime, and that can contribute to high levels of stress as well. Stop and have a look at what you're doing and how well that's going. Could you be doing it differently? Reflect on your lifestyle, you know, and how that's affecting your relationships, how that's affecting home life, how that's affecting work life, and affecting you. Practice some relaxation exercises. You can do some like deep muscle exercises. I think even some of the I know some of the exercise I find helpful sometimes is the ones Ramdev does. He does loads of yoga exercises online, and doing some of that helps. Doing a bit of yoga, talking to somebody about how you're feeling and helping you to see things from a different perspective. You know, do some of the things that you enjoy doing. We spoke about that last week. You know, for those that weren't here, I asked people to think about 3 things that they enjoyed doing that they could do after the session to help manage their mental well-being. Take up exercise, go for a walk. It doesn't have to be anything vigorous or anything too, you know, too strenuous. You can do chair exercises. You know, I know a lot of community groups and stuff are putting on like chair exercises and like yoga online. So go, you know, eat a healthy diet. Make sure we're eating lots of fresh fruit and vegetables in our diet, and we having a balanced diet, drinking enough water. Socialize with your friends and family, because, you know, when we see other people, we get different perspectives, and that can help us see things from a different, you know, viewpoint, and it can help us maybe make things look not as bad as we make them, because sometimes in our head things seem worse than they are, but when you talk to other people, oh yeah, that's not that bad and we can do something about it. Ask for help. You know, if you are going to friends and family, you know, ask them for help, but to ask them, you know, tell them what you want them to do, tell them how they can help you. Because if you go there and you say, oh yeah, I want you to help them, but then they don't know how to help you, that can be problematic. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. We're going to be talking about sleep and sleep hygiene next week, about how you can help yourself to have a good night's sleep. So I've got a guest here who's going to talk about his, you know, how he's managed stress. So Dhruv, are you around? I don't know whether we can.
Do you want me to share my screen? Or
oh yeah, if you've got it, yeah. I was. Can we share screen?
oh no, share my screen. Then turn my camera on. My bad.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, please.
Oh,
okay.
Can everyone see me?
You'll have to unshare your screen.
Stop share.
I don't know.
There you go.
All right, I got you. Okay. All right, namaste everyone. My name is Dhruv Lad. I am a 2nd year engineering student at the Uni of Nottingham. And so I'm only 21. I know I've not got a load of life experience like a lot of you guys here, but I've experienced like these kind of issues over the last few years, especially through my education and university and that kind of stuff, and all of the uncertainty alongside the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So even if it can't, I grew up in like a really close-knit community. I was very familiar with my surroundings, and moving to uni was quite stressful for me, being in a new environment around lots of new people and lots of expectation, always doing well at school, and then coming to uni and everyone is as smart as you or are smarter than you and more adept, more skilled, and you feel the pressure and then all social pressures and stuff. It was quite difficult for me, and over time I've had to learn how to deal with these stresses, these pressures, and it's been a real challenge, but you have to work towards it. What I found that has helped me with dealing with these sort of pressures is talking about it with friends, with family. I have really supportive, like, close family who've helped me. I've got some really great friends who've helped me through it, and you can see everything from another perspective. In your mind, your mind is sometimes your enemy. It can be really, really horrible to you and make things worse than they are. Like, you only see one side of the story. How do I describe it? You are your own worst critic. Sometimes it's a bit harsh and it's not really true, so you sometimes need some better perspective. So that's worked for me, talking to friends and family, and seeking professional help too. Getting active or pushing yourself to do something very little that would help you. So sometimes that could be like, I wasn't feeling that great earlier today, so I pushed myself to go out for a walk. It was tipping it down, like I was drenched. It was my second shower of the day basically, but it got me out. It made me feel better, breathing in the fresh air, that kind of stuff. Oh, thank you. Another thing that has helped me is writing stuff down. I know it sounds trivial, very simple, very like, how would that work if what's going on up here is just what you're regurgitating and writing down on a piece of paper, but like physically having it in front of you, it helps you then rationalize the issue. I do it quite often when my mind's just decides to go off on one and start spiraling, and it helps me calm down at least. So I don't know how long I've been speaking for, but those are 3 things that worked for me. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Drew, for sharing your experience. That's really appreciated. Thank you for your time as well.
Drew, would you like to stay? Do you have time to stay on the chat, Drew?
Sure, yeah.
That's fine.
All the time in the world.
Yeah, we might have some questions or thank you at least at the end. So thank you. I do have a question.
Thank you. The slide stuck. Decided to. Sorry, for some reason it's stuck. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so I think now come towards the end. So it's about where can you get help? You can contact me at Diamond Mindset. And these are my contact details. I do small group sessions, I do one-to-one sessions, so we can tailor a program that is suitable for everyone. So we can try our best and work together for that. You can talk to your friends and family if you feel comfortable doing that. Speak to Samaritans, that they're on the end of the phone as well. There's the NHS website, Mind. You can go to your doctor. Is it not sharing? Sorry, I've just been told my screen isn't sharing. Bear with me. I have shared it. Sorry. Apologies for that. Yeah, so you can contact me at Diamond Mindset. We do one-to-one group sessions as well, and I can tailor a package that is suitable for you and your needs. You can speak to friends and family, and speak to them if you feel comfortable speaking to them. There's Samaritans, you can get the details online. NHS website has got a wealth of information as well about stress and how to manage stress. Mind, their website is really good as well. You can go to your GP, and if things get really, really difficult and you're unable to cope, 111 or A&E is always a last resort if you're feeling that you're at risk to yourself or others. So things I'd like to think about and take away from today is, what are the things you can, what are you taking from today, and how can you put into practice what some of the things we've spoken about, and can you identify who you can reach out for help? Have you got a list of things? Okay, if this is happening, I can talk to so and so. And it might be somebody at work, it might be a professional, but just having almost like a plan of who you can go to when things are difficult is helpful. So thank you very much for listening to me today. And questions? I'm going to stop sharing, Gomish Bhai. Okay. I don't want to share. Stop sharing. There you go. So.
Okay. I think if there's one question on the chat. Can I ask a question? If there is any truth in alleviating your own stress by understanding other people's stresses? Gentlemen.
If it helps, yes, because sometimes we think things are really bad in our head, but when we speak to somebody else, you said, oh, actually, it might not be as bad as we think it is, because somebody else is coping with it or somebody else is coping with worse. But that doesn't mean that your stress is not valid. Yeah, so it doesn't matter, just because somebody is doing more than you, does that undermine what you're experiencing? And that is equally as important, because everybody has different stress tolerance levels.
Okay. What is the difference between stress and anxiety?
Yeah, well, stress is, I would describe it as the precursor to anxiety. So ongoing stress, which can, that, when we're looking at stress, it's something that we can manage to some level, but anxiety goes beyond, and it is a lot more debilitating, and it starts affecting our thinking. It starts, we might start trying to control things, we might start avoiding things, but more on longer term. So the person that asked that, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So it's more of a longer term thing, is anxiety, as opposed to stress being more, let's see what we can do.
Another one, can you tell what is the difference with postnatal depression as well?
But postnatal depression occurs, I think I'm not a mother and baby expert. From the top of my head, I think you can get it up to 2 years after the birth of your baby. So it's following the birth of a baby, and often triggered by, like I says, different changes in what's going on, how to manage, hormonal changes as well. So postnatal, it's depression, but it is you adapting to having a child, but it can be a bit more serious than that, but it's triggered by having a baby. And you can experience all these symptoms as part of that.
Okay. I think that was it. It's a lot of message for Dhruv here. Shall we go through the message to Dhruv?
Yes, please.
And then we'll open the floor up to thingy. I think we'll just if we can take the spotlight off you, Chetnaben. We take the spotlight off.
Want me to stop my video, or
No, that's fine. I think it's a gallery. Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, on the chat with Dhruv, thank you. There's a few messages for you. Dhruv, you are very brave, talking about experience. Well done. Excellent share from Kishore Bhai. Dhruv, Thank you, Drew, for sharing. Drew, thank you for sharing your experiences. Living away from home can be very stressful. However, when managed, can be the best time in university life. That's it, I think, yeah. Drew, by sharing your own experience and strategies to deal with them, you will have already helped so many people. Thank you and well done. Drew said, thank you everyone for your kind messages. I'm doing fine. I'm enjoying uni life. I just wanted to help highlight there are ways to get through such stressful situations. Last week no seminar website so that will be on soon as well as today's as well. So so please explain main in Gujarati. I think that's good. There's one from Kishobai. Are there any websites, Chetnaben, for reading up on how to deal with stress? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, the NHS website has it on there,
Okay.
and the Mind website as well.
So NHS, Kishobai, NHS and Mind websites are the ones you need to look at. From Drew, what support did you receive from the universal pastoral care? I don't know, Drew, are you still on with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Firstly, obviously I have a tutor, so an academic tutor, who is like my go-to person for any issues, if that's academic or personal. So they're the first person I tend to contact. All universities have a counselling service, help service, and that kind of stuff. The only thing is there's quite a long queue with them a lot of the time. But I know at my university here, at the University of Nottingham at least, they have student-run stuff as well, where they have classes, not classes, but more like help sessions and that kind of stuff. So everything is usually on the university website. If you just Google whatever university is, mental health, and all the services are on there. There are all kinds of numbers, email addresses, and different links to take you to those sort of sites, and resources. So yeah, I've had
there is support available there.
Yeah, I've had a fairly positive experience with the university services. It just takes a little bit of time because obviously there are thousands of students at all these different unis, and it takes some time for them to get through the list. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Question, Chetnaben, could Chetnaben arrange a resilience course to deal with stress? Is that something, Chetnaben?
Yeah, I think if anybody wants to get in touch with me to arrange that, happy to do that. We can, that can definitely be put together.
Yeah, Kishambai says, believe being active and taking part in sports does relieve stress and anxiety. We do not see many Asians taking part in sport. Is that, would you recommend that, I guess, Chetnaben?
Definitely, yeah. I think, like Drew was saying, going out for a walk and feeling the air on your face, that takes you away from what you're feeling, and it's just nice. It's and it does release those happy hormones in your system as well. And so I really do encourage it. And if you're struggling to go on your own, see if you can find somebody with you. Swimming, walking, football. Kick around. Kick a football around with your children in the garden.
Yeah. Drew, is the stress, the question for you, is the stress moving into a new environment, or was that something you previously experienced?
It was a joint thing, so it was, I'm going to say moving away just brought it out a bit more, because when I was at home, maybe I had people to turn to. I had my parents around me. I had close friends who I'd known for a long time. So it just upped it a level, but it's not so bad nowadays. It's because I've at least it's my second year. I've been away for a while now, and it's because it's just that consistent work. It goes longer. There's no miracle. There's no magic potion to mental health issues. It's all hard graft and work. So I would say I'm not blaming moving away for university as the crux to it all. It just put more emphasis on my anxieties and my that kind of stuff, my insecurities.
Thank you. I think those are the questions. I think, Dhruv, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to let you know that you and I share something. My daughter is actually at Nottingham Trent University at this very moment. And some of the things you have said to me very well resonate with myself and my family as well. So I think it is, you're so brave to, thank you for coming on board and giving us the experience and stuff. And I believe you are going to do a talk to the Nottingham Hindu Society Forum. Is that correct?
I am on the University of Nottingham's Hindu Society.
Yeah.
I am the Sanskar coordinator, so doing talks and stuff is something I am quite used to. Not on mental health, at least, but I do talks about different values and stuff and how it does help in day-to-day life, as in values being stuff that's been taught through Hinduism and that kind of stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
I think there is quite a few Prajapatis at Nottingham. So reach out to them and share your experiences and keep in touch. We are a big community, and it's nice that we can, if we can share our experience and talk to each other, that would be good as well. That would
be brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll see if I can find out who these people are then.
I'll pass on the name to Chetnaben, so you're aware.
No worries. Thank you.
Yeah. Just from Mridula Ben Thakur, great presentation, Chetnaben. Our community tend not to access the available help and suffer in silence. So I think that's a really good message there, because subject matter, and even if we, as we said last week, help kare, that is well worthwhile us doing this session and going forward with it, because I think stress it affects everybody, whether it's young, old, middle age, at different times of life. It affects everybody. So another question. Thank you for informative present. What advice, Chetnaben, would you give to having offline time rather than being constantly online?
I'm just trying to. I think it's take regular breaks, and I'm just wondering, what do you mean by having offline time? Are you talking social media? In which case, it's good to have a break from social media every now and again. And it is, I think a lot of the times, I know with my work and with everybody else's work and even uni work, a lot of things are online, and that can be difficult in terms of you haven't got the same social interaction as you would have face to face, and you can't always achieve the same amount of learning or the learning in the same way. And there's a lot more pressure put on yourself to try and learn yourself. But if we're talking about social media, I would say have time offline. Have an afternoon or a day where you don't put your phone on. I know that's really difficult, and try not to go on your phone late at night either, because that can affect things. But yeah, I would definitely advise device breaks. I think would be the right thing to say, rather than online, whether it be gaming or anything.
Okay. Do you know of Asian specific support or work going on with our community-led experts? Is that
no? Which is why I approached the Samaj.
I don't think many are Asians do this type of thing. So I think
I think there are some. I don't know the names, but I know where I've worked before. When I used to, we're talking a long time ago, over 10 maybe 20 odd years ago. I know Birmingham used to have a few things. I don't know if Bradford do, or maybe there might be, but very few and far between, but I wouldn't know, I'm afraid.
Okay, I think those on the chat. Vipulbhai, I don't know if you've got any other messages or anything, but we could open the chat up to everybody if unmute, and then if anybody wants to ask questions, please do so. Should we unmute everybody?
Yes, I think if people have questions, they can unmute themselves.
Yeah, thank you. We've got another question, Chetnaben. Would it be fair to say that the stressed person may feel the stress of sharing their stress in the first place? Yes.
Definitely, yeah, because you're doing something out of your comfort zone. You are doing something that's very different, that's very unfamiliar to you, and you know, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out the Gujarati way of saying it. What will they think of me?
Now, how would you overcome that? What is your?
I think it's finding somebody that you feel comfortable talking with, or talking to somebody that's external. You know, I always like, I'm always here, you know, but yeah, speak to somebody you feel comfortable and you know that understands you, would be helpful. Or get, you know, maybe somebody at work or somebody external.
I would say કે તમને કોઈ ઓળખતા નહીં હોય ને અને તેની સાથે ફ્રેન્ડ હોય ને, talk to them. You find it તમને easy પડશે. જો તમને કંઈ એવું થતું હોય ને તો પોતાનાને વાત નહીં કરી શકો તમે, તો જેને નહીં ઓળખતા હોય ને, third person કામે, like Chetna said, કે એ લોકો તમારા ઘરમાં વાત નહીં કરે, they can help you. So, you know, like stress, it is really easy to get stressed out with everything, and it is hard to go back to normal. But yeah, like mental health માટે સ્ટ્રેસનું ધ્યાન રાખવા જ પડે, because તમારી હેલ્થ ખરાબ થઈ ગઈ હોય, તમને ઇન્ટરનલ કંઈ પ્રોબ્લેમ હોય તો બી તમે કોઈને કહી નહીં શકો, and that causes stress as well. So yes, બીજા કોઈને વાત કરો ને, નહીં ઓળખતા હોય તેને બી, then it will might help. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Chetna.
અને ઘણી વાર પછી એવું થાય કે તમને તમારા ઘરના માણસને કહેવાના માટે બી એમ થાય કે એ લોકો મને વ્યાધિ નથી કરાવી મારી પાસે, એ લોકો ચિંતા કરશે, એટલે that in itself તમને વધારે ચિંતામાં મૂકી દે.
But I think Nirmala, I think yeah, no, but I think આપણે એમ વિચારવાનું, આપણી પાસે કોઈ આવે તો આપણે શું કહીએ, આપણે સમજાવવાનું, you know, we need to understand, you know,
that's right.
If somebody came to me, I wouldn't say no. So if you know, would they be the same? So, you know, often we are afraid of asking for help because we see that as a sign of weakness. You know, because we worry that I'm going to tell her, Mama, kami said, amni kaini.
કોઈ મારા માટે જજ કરશે મને, કોઈ મારા
yeah, એટલે આપણે, you know, પૂછવા પહેલા જ barrier create કરવા કે yeah, so we need to
કે હું કેવી રીતના કહીશ, અને એ પહેલું like I said last time કે પહેલું પગલું recognizing, બીજું પગલું you can talk to somebody. Like પેલા બેને કીધું, ઘણીવાર આપણે જે લોકો નહીં ઓળખતા હોય, એકદમ nothing, even out of the community, you find it a lot more easier to talk, especially like your friends, or maybe not even your friends, your work colleagues or something.
I think a lot of, I think that last week we spoke, a lot of people at work, mental health firstly, aiders hoy, they
are professionals, seek help from them.
Yeah, so, you know, or go friends or somebody else.
I thought I'd just put that question on because I felt that in a lot of things.
Yeah, no, and it's a valid question because what you're doing is,
that's what I see with a lot of people, that initially they are afraid of actually the stress itself and having to say about
Yeah.
the fact that they are stressed. Yeah.
And there's that also thing is if you talk about stress,
Yeah.
it almost makes it real and you have to do something about it. So people are afraid in that respect as well.
And also that goes to your one of the, sorry, I joined a bit late, but I did see your slide about the fright and flight thing, which is
Yeah.
like પછી લોકોને like person આવી જાય કે આમ થઈ જાય ને
But આપણે સમજે આપણને કેમ આવી રીતના વિચાર આવતા છે કે કેમ આપણે આવી રીતના બિહેવ કરે તો પછી આપણથી બીજું કઈ ડિફરન્ટ કરાય. આપણે સમજ જ નહીં પડતી હોય તો આપણે બીક લાગે.
નહીં કહી શકાય. That's the thing is recognize, સમજણ જ નહીં પડે, recognize નહીં થાય કે મને શું થઈ રહેલું છે. ઘણી વાર આપણે put it down કે કઈ બીમારી હશે કે એવું પણ કઈ સમજણ નહીં પડે. Stress in itself is an illness, but it's a silent illness.
Yeah. Okay.
Chetnaben, we have 2 hands raised. So I'll
Yeah,
just
I can
give
see
you,
that. Yeah.
Kantibai first from Ashton. Kantibai.
Okay. I'm Kanti's wife. Sorry, Nalini.
Hi, Babi.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who are, because of stress and anxiety, are not able to sleep. Is there any tips you can give for those who can't sleep because of this problem? Is there something they can do?
There's a presentation next week on sleep where we'll be covering some of those things.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Then. Thank you.
Pradip Bhai.
Thank you, Chetnaben. I'm a coach myself, so I understand some of the things you're talking about. Stress is 2 parts. It's mental as well as physical. આપણે જો બેસી રહ્યા હોય ને કઈ કરતા નહીં હોય તો આળસાઈ થઈ જાય. એટલે you're not physically active, which means that our mind is not occupied as well. So that causes પછી આપણે કઈ કરવાનું થાય ને તો આપણને ખીજ લાગે કે કરવાનું છે એટલે. So it creates mental stress as well. So બંને છે ને તમે કહેતા હતા કે exercise કરવાની, તો exercise not just for the sake of exercise for health, but also for mental health as well. અમુક ટાઈમે છે ને mental health હોય તો આપણે exercise નહીં કરે because you are contracted ને આપણે બેસી રહી મૂંઝાઈ રહી એટલે you're not doing yourself any good actually. So a lot of advice you say is quite right. And stress has to be recognized as physical as well as mental, and the both of them are related together.
Yeah, and I think this was evidence of when Drew just spoke about he didn't want to go for a walk today, but he went for a walk. He pushed himself, and that made him feel a little bit better. It's about challenging yourself to do that.
અત્યારે કોવિડ પીરિયડમાં છે ને ઘણા માણસો છે ને ઘરમાં ને ઘરમાં જ રોકાયેલા છે because એને ડર લાગે બહાર જવાની. પણ જો ને ગવર્મેન્ટ પોલિસી પણ કહેતા હતા ને કે go out for a walk.
Yeah.
And that's not just to come out of the house, but to physically exercise, change, get some fresh air.
And if like you said, you don't want to do something, we spoke last week about the stop technique, about stop what you're doing, observe what's happening. What are you reacting to? So really it's stopping and looking at not just doing, but why am I doing what I'm doing? What works when I'm in this situation? And I know it, like you said, by COVID na lidhe badane bare ni jawo hoy kai nahi okay but aple mask perine jo aple mazati dur rewo sanitizer vapro ne le jawo sate. So we're doing as much as we can to protect ourselves. So આપણે થી જેટલું થાય તેટલું આપણે કોઈ ટ્રોમા હોય તેટલું આપણે કરતા છે.
અમુક ટાઈમે છે ને આપણે સ્ટ્રેસફુલ સિચ્યુએશનમાં હોય ને તો આપણે we just stay in one place.
Yeah.
પણ ખાલી આપણે if you just take yourself away from, maybe change your room.
Yeah.
You don't step outside, that can make a lot of difference.
But is that what what said about the tunnel vision when you get the fight and flight? Aple mus je nuksan thono hoy te apne dekhai biju kai ni dekhai.
We tend to concentrate more on the negative side.
Yeah, because we're looking after ourselves. But when you are stressed, we tend to focus on the thing that's making you stressed, which could be a negative thing. So you scanning for dangers. So you'll avoid anything. So yeah, and like you said, we're more prone to the negatives than we are positive. So it makes it harder.
Yeah, આપણે આમે generally બધાની સાથે વાત કરતા હોય તો સારાની વાત કરતા હોય તો વધારે ફાયદો હોય એમાં.
Yeah.
ગમે તેને કોઈની સાથે વાત કરે ખાલી પૂછ્યું હોય ને તમે કેમ છો that's even enough to start a conversation. But
Yeah.
so you go through the same conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice to talk about it, but there has to be a limit.
Yeah.
Solution to it.
And I think another thing that can also be a cause of stress is somebody will say something and it will be, koi salamate kene koi na kotu lage. But chemati stress wadi jai. So sometimes just taking a step back, and if it's something you don't like, it's up to them, it's not you. So changing how we react to what people say to us is very important as well in managing stress.
Thank you for an exciting presentation, Chetnaben.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.
Robin, have you got another question? You've raised your hand.
Just a very quick one, just like to actually going back to Drew, actually, saying his idea of writing down things, writing down things will also make you understand what you've done, why you've done it, where you can improve, what you can add or what you can take away. So that's a really, really useful strategy one can use. Because આપણને કાયમ યાદ નહીં રહે કે મને આમ હતું ને મેં શું કરલું કે મને સારું થયેલું. Whereas if you got it on a piece of paper, મને last time મને આમ થયેલું, માથું દુખેલું તો ત્યારે મેં શું કરલું કે મને સારું થઈ ગયેલું. Did I take paracetamol or did I go for a walk or what did I do? Did I open the window to get some fresh air? What was it that I did? Made me feel better. If you're in that same situation, and that's just an example. તો એવી રીતના ઘણી વાર આપણે લખીએ તો આપણને યાદ નહીં કરવું પડે અને તમને એમ થાય કે હા હું લાસ્ટ ટાઈમ આ સ્ટ્રેસ થઈ ગયેલો હતો. So what I did, I was doing a project and I just couldn't get on with it. Stuck in the rut. What did I do? Well, I moved away from it, gave myself a break, and then come back to it, and I could see it clearly. For example, that writing down strategy is very good. I just wanted to say to Drew, it's really useful tip that you have given for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirma.
Thank you.
Kishore, I think you raised your hand first.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much for this presentation. Excellent presentation again today. Just to reiterate on that point of writing down and going away and coming back to it does help a lot. I use that all the time in my work situation and coaching situation and stuff that I have done in the past. The question I have is, now that we've started this excellent activity of last week's and this week's, do people have an environment to contact somebody at SPA UK in the hour of need? Okay, Chetna is available on via the website, etc., and yourself, but are we planning to make it a bit bigger so people are comfortable to come and talk to the people around to provide support? I see there was an excellent person earlier who talked to us, a coach himself. Would that person then be available to join the SPA UK branch and help out going forward? Because obviously this kind of situations is a big issue in our community, whereby we tend to bottle everything in and put a top on it and forget about it.
Yeah, Kishore, I think, gentlemen, if you don't mind, I can take that question. Yeah, I think Kishore, we've got branches, obviously, joint branches from Bolton, Bradford down to London and East London and stuff. So each branch has their their own respective committee and communities there. So I think that Pellu, if they can talk to those local or close to them, I think that would be great. We as SPA UK are there as well, and we can direct you to people. So if you can't talk to people in your local area and stuff, then by all means contact. This is all about the no-share. We've never done this before, to my knowledge. And we are also learning, and we really appreciate the ideas or thoughts or we will take them on board. I can't promise anything, but what I can do is say we will listen, and if there's something feasible, everybody's willing to help out, and I think that's the case. Yeah, and even if we can direct you to specialist people like Chetnaben or whoever locally, whether anybody else, it doesn't have to be a member of our own community. The point is, it doesn't have to be a member of our own community. It could be anybody in the UK. you know, an organization that we just want to help people. So thank you.
Excellent.
Can I
Yeah,
just
thanks.
add, Kamlesh, to that, you know, if local branches or anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm happy to do online stuff
Lovely.
like I have done, so feel free to get in touch with me.
Two more questions. Harishbhai Enfield, I think you had your hand up first, and then we'll go to Murdulaben Thakur. Harishbhai, thank you.
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is more of an observation rather than a question. Nirmala Ben and other people spoke about talking to other people. Yeah. What are failings I notice is when you do actually talk to somebody in confidence, it seems to leak out and a number of people know about it, and that causes more stress. So what I suggest is when you do actually talk to somebody, please do it in confidential, because I know a lot of people under stress, and it's like a domino effect. You tell one person, it just goes round in circles, you know, and it just creates more stress.
Can I? Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think this is why it's really important we talk about these things, Harishbhai. You know, and I think this is why I approach the Samaj about this subject, and I'm very passionate about it. It's very close to my heart, you know, because I'm a nurse for over 20 years in the field, and I can see, probably count on one hand how many Indian people, Gujarati people I've seen in my career, you know, and like you said, that fear of talking to people, I think it is, you know, it's really there, but unless we talk about it in forums like this, then hopefully that will raise awareness and people will start respecting that. Actually, if somebody comes and talks to me, you know, and the more we talk about mental health, the more we talk about, you know, confidentiality and things, so hopefully we can get through to a few people with that. Yeah. So, but yeah, completely get your point.
Yeah, no, because I experienced that. I mean, some of you might have read my articles in our Sandesh. I actually go around the world climbing mountains and things like that. And within our team, sometimes there are not exactly weaklings, but people who can't keep up with the speed, and they feel stressed out. And when we try and talk to them, they feel they're being targeted. They're not actually. We're trying to help them out. So coming back about activities is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
And you got to have a routine of some kind. It's just got to be a part of your calendar, basically, a daily thing. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, no, thank you for that, Harishbhai, really important.
No worries.
Ben, if you probably need to unmute yourself, Ben. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you for that. Thank you, Chetnaben, for an excellent presentation. And I think the discussion is really good as well. You know, a couple of really key points that have been discussed is like Kishore Bhai Shah has mentioned about having a contact, you know, having a contact. And I know that it's very new. I think as a community, do we not need to work towards having something like same line, you know, Tamil, like you starting in the Samaj, but can it, you know, it needs to start somewhere and then widen up in the community where you know, because culture is in itself and has its own issues regarding stress. And what happens is Chetnaben is Gujarati and she understands our culture and kevi રીતના help karwani. Whereas, you know, when we go to a non-Gujarati or non-Hindu or non-Asian support people, they do not understand our cultural issues. And one of them has been really emphasized with stigma and relationships, because જેવી રીતના community માં જેવી રીતના stigma and જેવી રીતના વાતચીત થતી હોય અને support ના બદલે, you know, negativity આવતી હોય, So that is part of the, a built community thing, which English people won't understand. So as a community, we need to get together and organize so that we have support, because there are a lot of people suffering from it, and it's not just basic stress, but serious stress, where people do take their lives. It's just
Yeah, thanks for that,
just a
Madhula.
statement.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing I'm very proud and would like to congratulate the Super Chapati Association is actually talking about this subject. So I think we have sort of cracked the ice, and now it's how do we take it from here. So I think we've made the first steps, and I think everyone here today, everyone that came last time, should really be proud of you've all contributed to it, and a huge congratulations that we're here. We've got these presentations, but now, like you said, Madhula, what's the next step? How do we then make it work? So I think that's what we need to be thinking about in the longer term. So and that is so important. Sorry,
Pratibha, you had your hand up again. Is that?
Yes, I just want to take a follow up with what Madhula Ben was saying, is that we do need to be able to talk to people. The host communities do not understand our cultural differences, language, our understanding. I work in the field of dementia, so my apologies, Chetnaben, I missed your last session on mental health, because I'm passionate about dementia. I have done talks on SPA at several of the branches, and I'm hoping to do a lot more of it, because what's that creating is a conversation. During the COVID period, restrictions lift karya tha na, I went to a couple of functions, not just Gujarati communities, but other Asian, Indian communities. Function, so I've started conversations with people informally as well as a presentation wise, and that started up the conversation, and also encouraging people to talk about their own experiences. I think this is the best way. With the COVID, what is given us, we have a wider outreach on Zoom and media like this on platform. I've been engaging with mandirs as well and other community centers to create these kind of platforms for their own. I was talking to Birmingham Vipul. Yeah, we were talking about reaching out to other Asian communities as well and talk about dementia. I've prepared presentation in different languages with different videos in it. And also I'm reaching out to Chinese and Afro-Caribbean communities as well, because they are marginalized communities as well. I'm actually a chairman of the Dementia Action Alliance in my area. So I do act, I'm very active in my area, and I'd like to see more of this spread out throughout the UK within our communities. So certainly, conversation needs to start somewhere, and I think we've already started this, so we need to build on that.
Yeah. Where are you based,
I'm in Essex.
Oh, Essex, South.
So I'm also part of the Pan Essex Dementia Action Alliance. I have a meeting tomorrow with all the chairmen. Okay. So we exchange ideas, and I'm also on the platform for multi-faith and diversity group. Brilliant. So we are trying to communicate with other faith communities as well. Particularly in my area, we have a growing Nepalese community as well, and they speak Hindi. So they are becoming marginalized, but it's reaching out to all the communities with no barriers to faith or beliefs.
Thank you. Would you mind leaving your number with us? It could be, you can email.
Chetnaben knows me very well.
Chetnaben, that's fine. Lovely.
I've also spoken on platform before COVID in our major events at the Mela Samila. Yes. And the seniors, so I can present on the platform as well.
Thank you, because we are finding as more we use Zoom, we have new people we have coming on board and stuff, and that's what we want to generate, and we find it very useful, and the more information we can get, the more experts like yourself and Chetnaben can come on board, then that's fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, Chetnaben knows I talk about different topics.
Fantastic.
And particularly our culture, we are backwards. We have a huge amount to offer. So there is examples from our faith, our beliefs, and they are quite resilient. About mental health, there are other things that we can capitalize on, and I think there's a lot to learn from that. I'll give you a simple example. I did a talk on the SPA London on Arjun. What is the meaning of Arjun? Who is Arjun? Take a personality as him. What can we learn from him? Who he became, from what he became. So there's a lot of lessons to learn from our culture and our books as well. But if we ignore it, then it stays buried.
No, that's fantastic. Well, Chetnaben will keep getting in contact with you. She's, I know that. So we look forward to having you present something in the future as well.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Bye.
Okay, I think quarter past 9 I think we'll leave it for today. Next week, a patch session chair. Chetnaben's doing on sleep, which I think stress is one, sleep is another big area, which is really we need to focus on and so we'll do that next week, and then anybody who wants to ask questions can do so then as well. So thank you, Chetnaben. Well, thank you, Dhruv. Hope your studies goes well in Nottingham. Keep in touch with our Project Pati community, and that's so glad you came on board today to share your experiences. Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Kamlesh, we just got Kavi's got his
Presentation again.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sorry, Kavi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to Chetnaben. If someone's on escitalopram,
Yeah.
how long does it take for the side effects to go away, and how long does it take for the medication actually to kick in?
Well, usually any antidepressants take about 6 weeks for it to actually start taking effect.
Okay.
And if you're getting unmanageable side effects, I'd say go back to your GP, but give yourself at least 2 weeks to see because if anybody does start taking citalopram, it can take a while for it to build up in the system.
Okay.
So and then your body's sort of getting used to it, and then it'll just wait for it to settle down. But usually antidepressants take about 6 weeks.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I'm feeling better. I've actually started taking it for 3 weeks. I feel better. Yeah, like I had it once for 2 years now. I've had it again for 3 weeks.
You need to get in touch with me. You just feel free.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Can I call you after this session?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the contact number?
It's on my slides.
I'll just call you quickly.
Yeah. 07493. You got a pen there, Kavi?
1 second. 07493.
291 458.
458. Okay, cool. Cheers.
Yeah, just give us a few minutes. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No.
Thanks, Gabby.
Okay. All right. Cheers.
Bye. Would you like to say anything else, or we'll close off? Thank you. Okay, Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. Have a good evening.
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you,
See you next week.
Did you
Thank
get
you,
my
Kamlesh bhai, and everybody. See you. Jai Shri Krishna. Subratri.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for a good session.
Subratri Sarvane. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Talk to you later.
Jai Shri Krishna, Kamlesh bhai, Chetnaben, Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you.
See you on Monday.